Imagine being stuck in a desert wilderness, uncertain of your survival, yet holding on to a glimmer of hope for a promised future. This was the reality for the Israelites. In the heart of the desert, devoid of the comforts of civilization, the Israelites found themselves locked in a struggle for survival. They had been freed from the shackles of slavery in Egypt, a monumental feat, led by the strength and resolve of Moses. But their journey was far from over. Their destination, the Promised Land, a place flowing with milk and honey, a beacon of hope in their weary hearts. But the path to the Promised Land was not easy. It was a journey filled with trials and tribulations. They faced the harsh realities of the desert. The scorching sun by day, the biting cold by night, and the constant uncertainty of where their next meal would come from. Their faith was tested, their resolve shaken. Yet they pressed on, their eyes fixed on the horizon, their hearts filled with hope. Their journey was not just a physical one, it was a spiritual voyage, a test of faith. It was a journey that reflected the human condition, our own struggles and our own triumphs. It was a journey that echoed the age-old question of how far we're willing to go, how much we're willing to endure for the promise of a better tomorrow. The Israelites' journey was a testament to their unyielding faith and unwavering trust in the divine providence. Their hardships were immense, but so was their spirit. Their faith served as their compass, guiding them through the wilderness, through the darkest nights and the harshest days. And amidst the struggle, there were moments of triumph, moments that strengthened their faith, moments that reassured them that they were not alone, that their journey was not in vain. These moments of triumph were not grand gestures, but small miracles, miracles that nourished their bodies and their souls. Their struggle was real, their fear was palpable, but their faith remained unshaken, and this faith would soon be rewarded in the most unexpected way. In the midst of their struggle, when their bellies echoed the empty vastness of the desert, a divine solution descended from the heavens. This divine solution, my friends, was the miraculous manna and quail. Imagine a horde of people, the Israelites, journeying through the wilderness. They had been freed from the harsh servitude in Egypt, and now they were wandering in the desert with a promise of a land flowing with milk and honey. But that promise seemed far off and elusive. They were fatigued, their stomachs gnawed by hunger pangs, their spirits dwindling. The desert, vast and relentless, offered them nothing but sand and sun. In this dire circumstance, the Israelites cried out to Moses and Aaron. Their desperation was palpable. The Exodus narrative paints a vivid portrait of their plight, their fear, their longing for the comforts they had left behind. And what was the divine response? Did the heavens remain silent? Far from it. The book of Exodus, chapter 16, tells us about a promise made by God. He heard the cries of his people. He saw their desperation, and he promised to rain down bread from heaven for them. But this was not just any bread. This was manna, a food so marvelous and unique that it defied description. The scripture tells us it was like coriander seed, white, and its taste was like wafers made with honey. Along with it came flocks of quail covering the camp, providing the much-needed protein for their sustenance. God's provision was not just about filling empty stomachs. It was a demonstration of his power, his love, and his faithfulness to his people. It was a message loud and clear that he would not abandon those who put their trust in him, even in the direst of circumstances. The miracle of manna and quail wasn't just about food. It was a testament to the divine provision and the power of faith. It was a lesson that still resonates today, reminding us of God's unfailing love and care for his children. As the dawn broke, something remarkable carpeted the desert floor. It was manna, the bread from heaven. Can you imagine the scene? The sun peaks over the horizon, casting its golden glow across the barren desert. The Israelites awaken to a sight they've never seen before. A fine, flaky substance as delicate as frost lies scattered all over the ground. There's a sense of wonder, confusion, even disbelief. What is it? They ask each other. This is manna, the bread from heaven, a divine sustenance provided by God. Beside the manna there were quails. These birds, usually found in more fertile lands, have mysteriously appeared in the desert, providing the Israelites with much-needed meat. The sight of these quails, ready for the taking, must have been a welcome surprise, a sure sign of divine intervention. The manna and quail were not just food, they were manifestations of God's care and provision. Each morning, as the Israelites collected their daily sustenance, they were reminded that they were not forgotten. In the midst of an inhospitable desert, each day brought a gift from the heavens. The manna was described as white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. It was not just sustenance, but a delicacy, a symbol of God's generosity. They had enough to eat and were satisfied. No one hoarded, no one went hungry. Each had as much as they needed. The quails too were a blessing. They provided the Israelites with a variety of diet and reminded them of the abundance that could be found even in desolation. The presence of these birds in such a barren place was a miracle that underscored God's power and mercy. This daily miracle served as a reminder that God was with them, providing for their needs in the most unexpected ways. The manna and the quails were not just food, they were symbols of divine love and care, tangible proof that they were not alone in the wilderness. Each morning brought a renewed affirmation. They were not alone. They were being cared for. Beyond the immediate sustenance, the manna and quail carried profound lessons for the Israelites and for us today. The first lesson we glean from this tale is the importance of reliance on God. The Israelites, wandering in the wilderness, were completely dependent on God for their provision. They had no means to provide for themselves, no fields to harvest, no livestock to slaughter. Their very survival hinged on the daily miracle of manna and quail. This reliance was not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the power of faith. It reminds us that even in our modern lives, filled with self-sufficiency and independence, our ultimate reliance should be on the divine providence. The second lesson we learn is the significance of faith. When God promised to feed the Israelites, they had no tangible proof that this would happen. Yet they trusted in His word. They had faith in the unseen, in the promise of a God who had never failed them. This act of faith, this unwavering trust in God's promise, is a powerful lesson for us today. In a world where seeing is believing, the story of the manna and quail encourages us to believe even when we cannot see. Finally, we come to the concept of daily bread. Each day, just enough manna fell for each person's need. If they gathered more, it spoiled. This taught the Israelites and teaches us to trust in God's daily provision. It encourages us to live in the present, not hoarding for tomorrow, but trusting that our needs for each day will be met. These lessons from the manna and quail story resonate deeply with the challenges faced by spiritual seekers today. In our journey of faith, we too face wilderness moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. We too need to learn to rely on God, to have faith in His promises, and to trust in His daily provision. In the face of adversity, the Israelites learned that faith isn't about understanding every detail. It's about trusting in the promise of divine provision. The story of manna and quail isn't confined to the pages of a historical text. It resonates in our lives today. This ancient tale, though set in a time and place far removed from our own, holds a timeless truth that continues to echo through the centuries. It's more than just a story of survival in the wilderness. It's a narrative of faith, trust, and divine providence that still speaks to us in the here and now. In the hustle and bustle of our modern lives, we often find ourselves in our own kind of wilderness. We face challenges that test our faith, situations that push us to our limits, and uncertainties that leave us feeling lost and alone. Yet just as the Israelites discovered manna and quail in their wilderness, we too can find our daily bread amidst our trials. This is not merely about physical sustenance, but about spiritual nourishment. It's about recognizing that in our toughest moments, we are not alone. It's about trusting that even when we cannot see the path ahead, we are being guided. It's about understanding that when we feel most depleted, we are being provided for in ways we may not yet comprehend. You see, the story of manna and quail is more than a historical event. It's a living, breathing testament to the enduring faithfulness of divine provision. It's a reminder that when we surrender our fears, our doubts, and our need for control, we open ourselves up to receive the gifts that are waiting for us. So, as you navigate your own spiritual journey, I encourage you to remember the Israelites in the wilderness. Think about the manna and quail that appeared just when they needed it most. And in your darkest moments, hold on to the hope that you too will find your daily bread. Amidst our own wilderness, may we too find our manna, our daily bread, and be reminded of the faithfulness of divine provision.